Here we go. Yeah. Looks
I
like
haven't got
we're
any
on.
questions yet.
I can see
Oh,
it.
yep. Oh, no. Okay, 13 seconds ago. Ah, yep, you're up.
Cool. Alright, just started the stream for Life Game Design. So basically what I'm gonna be doing with these live streams is that every week I do a weekly reflection with my boys, and we go over the week based on all the areas of special that I use to organize my life. And we just go through this template that I have these two phases of reflection and realignment to go through the week, kind of digest it, relive the memories that we made, and then go on to think about what do we want to do for the future. And so right now, my friend Joseph has been helping me setting up this first stream because this is something that's actually helped me so much and our whole group so much. And it's something I want to share with you guys just so you can see what it's like to go through this every week, and also a way for you to understand the different areas of life I've created in Special, and also show the template I'm creating. That's pretty much life game design and the course within it. So I'm gonna let Joseph go. Thank you very much for your help, Joseph. And let's get on to it. So yeah, for the weekly reflection, um, the first thing I have to break down, I guess, is the special framework. So if you know of the Fallout series, you'll know the special acronym basically. And if you don't, that's cool. It's also coded with the Infinity Stones as well. And so you've got strength, persistence, experience, creativity, contribution, intelligence, attachment, and life force. And basically, there's four core special attributes, I call them. And then there's four elevating attributes. And so the core ones I've labeled here, which are physical health, your work, your close relationships, and your mental health. And then everything else elevates the core attributes. The difference between them, I guess, is that if you ignore the core attributes, your life is going to get pretty fucked up real quick. But if you ignore the elevating attributes, you won't notice such a detriment to your life. But still, they're not really worth ignoring. And yeah, so every week, me, Joseph, Derek, we all go through this weekly reflection that I've created, loosely based off this. So yeah, I just want to go through that right now for my sake and have it as a way to teach you guys about the special system. So yeah, my template is a pretty standard Notia para system in which you have projects, areas, resources, and archives, and a project manager as well. So I have areas, which are the special areas here, and then I've got projects, tasks, and notes within all of these different things here. And so whenever I do this reflection, I just use these views to see what I've done during the week so I don't have to take it from my mind. Because every time I ask people when they come back to work on Monday what they did last week, they can't remember. And neither can I if I don't do this. And the problem with that is that if we let the time we spend here slip away, we can't get it back. There's a really interesting concept about dividends, if you know about investing dividends, but more about memorial dividends, in which, let's say you go to an event that you paid for. Every time you remember that event, it keeps paying out through things like nostalgia and just reliving the memory every time. So a practice like this is basically giving yourself memory dividends. And so yeah, the first thing that I go through is hit this button, which I've already done, which brings up the template here. And this is the reflection where I actually like write down on my laptop what are the things that happen throughout the week. And so to fill stuff in here, I'll reference everything I put in my project's tasks and notes. So these are all the things that I've done. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through the list. What have I done this week for strength and my general health? So I've got a habit tracker and I've pretty much done all of my workouts for the week. So on my habit tracker, I have two tiers of, I guess, completing my workout. So the first tier is like the atomic habit style. I only have to do one set of one exercise, and that's me done. And then the next tier would be completing my full workout. And it might be really hard to see on my shitty webcam, but it's all green. I did it all this week to the T, and I'm really proud of that. So that is the first big win for the week in terms of strength, is finishing my whole workout. And so whenever I do this with the guys, at the start we did it linearly, where I'd ask them, oh, what's a win you had for strength? What's a win you had for experience, like going out or watching something? And we go through it pretty linearly, but these days we kind of like intuitively just talk about these things. But at the start, it's really nice to have the structure because, for example, there was one time where my friend Derek was focusing on his relationship a lot, and he felt like because we started this group to work on our creativity, to work on all of our different creative aspects that we're taking in life, he felt like he hadn't done anything during the week because he was focusing on his relationship, and that would be attachment over here. And so the thing is, within these different areas of life, we're always going to focus on one, and that means the other areas of life are going to be either at maintenance or they may even take a fall. But I guess the way to make peace with that is that you choose and you understand what area is going to affect what other area. And so let's say even for this week for myself, I've focused so much on experience and creativity that I haven't done much reflection and things like that, which is life force, connecting with yourself, your mental health. And so this is almost a way for me to do it myself, and mix that in with creativity, because all of these areas can work together. Um, so yeah, that's how it all works. And that's why I make so many different categories, because I could have made it just the four core categories, but this works as a database. It doesn't only work as a, I guess, like a catchy framework for understanding the areas of life. It also works as a database to keep everything you have in, because when I see people who have project managers, whenever they get to things or topics like their house, their car, and stuff like that, they put them all in these random categories, or they'll put it all in a file called personal. But personal is compromised of things like creativity, compromised of things like life force, compromised of things like. It's just a big jumble because it's not organized into a specific category. So I guess we have to strike an odd balance where if you have a very overarching category, that means you have to have more subcategories within it to organize it properly. If you have too many subcategories, then it's harder to see at a glance what you're actually doing. And I feel, at least for myself, the special system has helped me strike that balance between understanding, like, yes, I've got these core attributes that I use to organize my life, and then I also have these other areas which also serve as my database and also helps me color code for my time management on my calendar. And I feel like while it's not the easiest to remember all eight because of the nature of them being connected to the Infinity Stones and also them being color coded, it just makes it quite intuitive, at least for me. So I guess I should explain the relation to the Infinity Stones. Um, so if you've watched Marvel, you'll get it. This is referring to the MCU, so the movies. And there is only one swap that I've done. So the first is the Power Stone, which is strength. Again, that's your physical health. So I think if there's any of these areas of life that matter the most, it's definitely strength. And I would really replace the word strength with vitality, but I wouldn't want to call this the Vipeshal framework. So the next one is persistence, and that is to do with the space stone. So when I think about the space stone, I think about controlling the space around you. And that's exactly why it's related to one, your household maintenance, and also keeping up your car, and also the routines you do, because that's usually done within home. So things like my morning and night routine, keeping track of those and how much time I spend on them and what exactly I'm doing in those routines. So that's a space stone, persistence. Experience, that is the time stone. So that's activities and entertainment and more external material things that you have in life that you enjoy. And again, it's about spending the time in your leisure, both wisely and being fully present within that time. Right now, what I'm working on is creativity. And so creativity and contribution, I know it says contribute, but contribution, the word doesn't fit fully and neatly into this. Notion needs to fix that. So creativity and contribution are a duality of the reality stone in the movies. So in the movies, when Thanos has the reality stone, he can make reality whatever he wants. And I think when I think about taking if we had the power of the reality stone in real life, what would that look like? And I think it's the things that we create in this world determine the reality of it. We're contributing and creating our own realities through our creative outlets. Things like art, things like music, etc. And obviously with our work. It's our main contribution that we have. So yeah, I consider contribution, the work you do basically to pay your bills, as the core attribute, and then creativity is the elevating attribute. And you always need both. The reason why is that there's a lot of people who have turned their creativity into a contribution. So let's say someone like me who's trying to be a YouTuber, or someone who's an established YouTuber who sees it now as a job and they're sick of it, whereas at the start it was their dream to do this thing, but now they need a different outlet to express their creative passion. And that's exactly what they find themselves doing. So it's almost cyclical, this duality of creativity and contribution. So again, the reality stone connected to that. So for me, creativity looks like literally doing this life game design, um, creating this framework that I've wanted to do for years and actually really going through it. And then, yeah, quite plainly, contribution is about your work. And it's also to do with charity as well. Any kind of like contribution that you can always do to your community as well. And that can tie in with a elevator like experience too. Finally, we have intelligence. So in the movies, I believe the Mind Stone is yellow and the Soul Stone is orange. So this is where the swap comes in. So I've labeled the Mind Stone as intelligence, just because that makes so much more sense. And it's basically just to do with learning. When I do my weekly reflection, I think about what's a really small thing that I learned this week, or what's something that really caught my attention. So yeah, that's the Mind Stone connected to intelligence. Attachment is the Soul Stone, and this has been a big realization for me this week. I'll talk more about that later, but yeah. The Soul Stone is related to your attachment, and your attachments are your close relationships. And then this is the wild card in a way. This is Life Force, and it's basically your mental health. And if you are spiritual, then also your spirituality, which I'm going on a bit of a discovery myself as someone who was extremely, I guess, an extreme atheist, and that made me extremely pessimistic. And I'm trying to get rid of that negative affect, but I'm finding it hard to believe in one single deity. So that's why I'm trying to find other avenues that I can relate to easier. Anyway, the symbolism for life force is yin and yang. And that's exactly because the way that I view mental health and exactly why I wear these two rings here. Basically, the yin and yang, the black and white, establishes a separation of the whole. So when I think, okay, I read this book uh, earlier in the year called That Little Voice in Your Head by Mo Gaudat. And basically, to summarize the book, obviously everyone has like a voice in their head that almost feels like it's working against you, but that's because we don't consider it as a separate entity in a way. Whenever we think of the thoughts that generate in our head, we attach, we feel like we personally generated those thoughts. So if negative thoughts are generated in our head, this is what I thought. I thought that that must mean that I am a negative person. But what I come to understand is that your thoughts are generated from the environment that you're in. So if you understand that, then it becomes a separation of your subconscious thoughts become a product of your environment, and your conscious thoughts become a motivator to find new environments. And so I was thinking, I made a video about this, but I tried to become my best friend in a way. I treated this voice in my head like it was my best friend. But because of the environment I was giving myself, I always had very negative thoughts. Because I'd stay inside all day, I wouldn't exercise, all of the stupid things. Just not living like a human, basically. And what I found is that why, if my inner voice was my best friend, why would they be saying so many negative things? My best friend Derek would never say these things to me. And so I realized it's not that relationship dynamic doesn't work. And what I found fits so much more and fits so much more in relation to how psychologists talk about people who go through therapy is that I've summed it up into this phrase. We have the subconscious mind of a child and the conscious will of a parent. Our subconscious mind determines our behavior, and our conscious will determines our environment. So if we want to change our environment, we essentially have to change, sorry, if we want to change our behaviors, we have to change our environment. And I thought about that split that happens when you're a very very young kid and you don't actually have metacognition. You can't think about your own thoughts. And then all of a sudden, you get that ability. You're able to think about what you're going to say. You're able to have internal monologue, basically. And that happens at a point where I think that split really starts to matter. Because before then, it's up to our parents to regulate our emotions. And then from that age until we get to, let's say, our teen years, really what our parents are trying to teach us is to understand our own emotions and regulate them ourselves using our language. And so, yeah, what I found is that whenever all of these therapists talk to these people, the first thing they ask them is what happened in your childhood. And basically, what I've found is that they're asking directly to their subconscious mind, which is basically what I interpret as their inner child. Because that inner child, like I found, will almost, if you don't listen to it, it will work against you. And now that I see it in this frame, it's so much easier for me to understand why I think why the thoughts that I think get produced. The easiest way for me to explain it is with literally that parent-child dynamic. And that parent-child dynamic exists within ourselves. So if I thought, why are these negative thoughts happening? And I thought in that parent-child dynamic, it's like, why would a child resent their parents? Or why would a child say horrible things to their parents? It's probably because they don't feel loved. And so I thought about what was the environment my conscious mind was giving my subconscious mind. What environment was I giving myself day to day? I wasn't going outside at all during the day. I was sitting on the couch for most of the day. Um, I hardly exercised and I ate mostly junk food. And we intuitively know if we did all of these things to a child, they would turn out pretty screwed up. But we forget that that child lives within us. And so now when I look at my mental health in this frame, it's like self-care has such a deeper meaning to me now because I'm not taking care of my conscious mind, I'm taking care of my subconscious mind. I'm taking care of my quote unquote inner child. Before I understood it like this, it was really hard for me to understand why we need to do things like meditation, why we need to do things like journaling. But now I see it simply as when you're journaling, you're literally giving space for that inner child to talk. It's like imagine if a parent never gave any chance for their child to talk to them about something that they had a really hard time with. Just changing that just changing that mindset around my mental health and understanding this parent-child relationship dynamic just made it so much more intuitive to what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Anyways, that is something that I really want to dive deeper into, but I'm supposed to be doing my weekly reflection. So let's go back to it now that I've very thoroughly explained special. Anyways, so in terms of persistence, again, this is either life routines, housework. I'll start with housework because that's actually something that happened. So in my projects or tasks, it might have been. Here we go. Um, yeah, so there was a leak in my on my carpet and I had to get that fixed. And so yeah, I went straight to my project manager under persistence and put that in. So I'm actually really glad because it got pretty bad. So I fixed the leak in my bedroom. And then yeah, experience. Goddamn, it was such a crazy weekend. So I live in Auckland, New Zealand, and we had two amazing events. We had Armageddon, which is kind of like a and anime gaming anime shows expo. And that was just sick. That was absolutely sick. I used to go when I was in like high school, and it was awesome, but it got pretty bad until a point because nothing really new happened. And it was like the first time I've been in probably like 3 years, and I just enjoyed myself so much. Oh my God. I actually think I have some photos on here. So I found one of my favorite characters from anime. Anyone with dual wield, uh, it's Tengen. Tengen from Demon Slayer, and they had his swords. And yeah, I was talking to the girl who was selling them, and she's like, "Just feel it." And so she let me like play around with them, and they look so cool. And the weight of them, because they were made of metal, it just felt so good. And there's my friend Lachlan like posing with them as well. It was so sick. Like you just see, like I was just so happy to hold them. It was like living out my dream kind of thing. It was so nice. But I didn't buy it because I'm actually moving down to New Plymouth, and I just would hang it in my room. Not gonna use it much. It was just nice to see it there, to be honest. So yeah, this is another like cool thing I do with my project manager is that because I don't use media anymore, this is basically turned into my social media. Because I've got like I can just keep it all here, basically for myself, and I don't. Even though I do want to share these things with my friends, like this is so much more personal to me. And I guess the second one was vegan vibes. So yeah, it was just a vegan festival. They had like crazy amounts of amazing food that I took all these photos of. I am a slut for peanut butter, so I took all these photos. We got like there was a store that had like all these like different peanut butter chocolate snacks, and I literally got one of each of them. And they were, to be honest, they weren't the best. They were all right. Um, I'm a chef, so and I worked at a cafe called Revive where we made better versions of literally each of these things. So it wasn't like the most fulfilling, but I guess I eat pretty clean and I prepared for this day, so it was a good treat. It was a good treat. We had dosa, which is a I guess it's like a filled Indian crepe. So nice. Um, this photo of the car. My mate Lachlan does RC car racing. Um, pretty much competitively, and he showed me his kit, and it was so sick because I used to love doing that when I was a kid, and just like reliving that was so nice. And yeah, there was like a crepe bowl. Like we had a lot of food. Mad tofu burger with satay and all that. Really nice stuff. So in terms of experience, yeah, Armageddon and vegan vibes. So whenever I fill this out, I usually just have fun, just talking with my friends about the stuff I've done, the stuff they've done, in all of these areas, and then I even think about like, what's the stuff I did last week, like down here, and I just see like week to week, how am I growing, in terms of all of these areas? What are the new things that I'm doing? What are the things that are holding me back? It just helps me so much, which is why I'm like literally just doing it as a live stream as an excuse to do it. And so creativity. I've been working on my template life game design. I want to basically share this with you guys. And especially for the people who are what you would call first adopters. The people who would be watching this stream when I have like 0 subscribers who are into this kind of thing. I want to make a free template for the people who are interested in learning about this. Um, and yeah, so what I got done is basically fleshing out the databases for all of these. And next week I'm gonna have to finish the whole template and release it. I've already done it for myself, so it's basically just transferring data. Not too hard, but I've just gotta take a lot of time to do the work. So I'll just say I made like a lot of progress. My mic cut out for some reason, but I think we good now. Okay. Contribution went from work. I've actually quit my job to work on this full time. But before I left, I really wanted to, I guess, leave an impact from my work. And I've started to make workflows for them because one of my greatest strengths and one of my greatest weaknesses at the same time is the fact that I hate doing anything without structure. So if I'm doing something new, I'll be really slow because I'm trying to find a workflow for it. But once I've done it two, three, four, 5 times, I'm usually faster than anyone else because I find the most efficient workflow. So that means whenever I do something new, I'm really slow. But once I figure how to do it in a proper structure, I really get a better understanding of what I'm doing. Um, but yeah, it's a blessing and a curse. So making workflows for Wise Boys. I work for Wise Boys. They're a vegan burger company in Auckland, and they're expanding, and they're doing really well. And they've really given me so much time to literally do this. So I'm really grateful for them. Anyways, intelligence, something you learn. Whenever I think about something I learned, I'll go straight to my notes. And I guess the thing that really pops out to me this week is what I was mentioning before about attachment, your close relationships. I came up with the word attachment for the A in the acronym because of the book Attached by Amir Levine and learning about the different attachment styles we have, especially within relationships. I'll see if I have the diagram for attachment style diagram. There we go. If you don't know anything about it, I guess this can show you. And I want to see a decent version of this photo. I don't know why it's so blurry here. But I guess we can use this. Here we go. So yeah, basically it's a 4-section quadrant of attachment styles, and it goes from secure, attachment, anxious, avoidant, and fearful. And this is like the higher concept of understanding how people behave, especially towards intimacy in relationships, and this applies to all relationships, not just romantic ones. Um, and yeah, I found out that I'm more anxiously attached, and that taught me a lot about my own behavior within my previous relationships, and it was a really hard pill to swallow that I still have to take constantly because I have to be aware. And I guess the move is understanding to go to more towards secure attachment. So that is like the biggest thing I learned, just literally that whole thing. And yeah, finishing the book. And so a development within my actual attachment, this was with my mum because I talked about it with her. Um, it was a conversation that I was so scared about. And I guess I'm just so lucky to have such an awesome mum because she was so open to listening to me, talking about the whole thing. And she really helped me, I guess, understand myself from her top-down perspective of me. So I just had a really deep conversation with mum. And since then, she opened up a lot more with me as well. And I guess before this is I guess these are things that we've never shared so intimately. And so I'm actually, even now, I'm like 26. I'm building such a deeper relationship with my mum now. And it's actually really cool just being able to talk more candidly about things like this. And it going both ways as well. It's really reassuring. And so, yeah, last section, life force, which is your connection to yourself and journaling. And I got to admit, because I've been so busy this last week, I haven't been doing journaling as much as I would want to. So with my journaling prompt, it's I have a section that says what's on your mind, and I haven't been dumping the things that have been on my mind much. And I can tell that those things have been, I wouldn't say festering, but they just haven't been able to be released. And I feel like literally this is my time to get all of those thoughts out. Because even though I'm live streaming, I feel like I'm pretty much having a conversation with myself, and that's what I feel like I needed. Even if I was doing this with friends. The thing about me doing this with my group is that we all give each other space to literally just let out all the stuff that's on our mind. And the sad thing is, before I had that, I didn't really have a comfortable outlet to do that because I didn't feel comfortable talking, having a conversation with myself, basically. There was a study where they got people in a blank room and all they had was a big red button in it, and they asked them to sit in there for like half an hour. And not the contestants, the study participants had two options. They could either wait in that room and do nothing, or they could press the red button, and they know they would get an electric shock from doing that. And most of the participants who were male, they felt compelled to get the shock because they felt more afraid to literally just sit with their thoughts. And again, when I think of this through the lens of the parent-child relationship, imagine again, the parent being your conscious mind and the child being your subconscious mind. Imagine a parent who's neglected their child for weeks or months. Can you imagine the frustration that that child would take out on the parent? And so essentially, when these people, because I'm talking from first-hand experience, when you ignore your subconscious mind, your inner child, for so long, it will come at you and attack you when you finally have time to not stimulate yourself, to distract yourself from trying to sit with it. And so journaling has helped me produce literally more positive thoughts. And the way that most people analogize this is that you have the subconscious computer program that you can program with new code. So if you have old code that produce negative thoughts, You write in new code that produces positive thoughts, and that's really true. The only thing that I felt was a limitation with that analogy is that it makes it so much harder to be intuitive about the things that go on if you're looking at it through the lens of computers, because even though I've built my own gaming computer, I don't understand the very intricate things about a CPU or a GPU and all, like how a computer works to such fine detail that I can take more analogies to fit it into how my brain works. Something that I know more intuitively is how a parent-child relationship dynamic works. I know that, like I said before, if you ignore a child, if a parent ignores their child for so long, what ends up happening is that the child will grow resentment for their parent. Things like that. It's just so much easier to intuitively draw analogies. So yeah, I guess for me, it was literally, phew, this is really hard to say. Literally me facing and accepting my past behavior in relationships. And that has taught me a lot about how I've hurt people in the past and what I need to do in the future. So yeah, in terms of reflection, these are the questions that I base around this. So at the start, I kind of want to just like list all the wins from this week, basically. All the good things that happened, all the growth that we've had. And that's like the first stage of reflection. And then I want to focus on, okay, what went wrong? Let's be honest. Because no one ever has a perfect week, but we can always make some incremental improvements. So I want to think, what lessons did I learn from things that didn't go quite right? And I would say it was definitely to do with the whole attachment thing. But I think I handled it quite well, to be honest. I don't think that I could have definitely made some very incremental better choices, but overall, I think I handled having that conversation with my mum really well, and how I handled me going through that experience quite well as well. Apart from that, here's a good one. Going to sleep on time. Even now, I'm going to sleep late. A bit late. This is something I really want to do because I bought a Whoop so I can fixate on this, but I guess I bought a Whoop to outsource my responsibility to have better practices around sleep. So I guess I could have been more mindful about planning my day to sleep on time. How well did I stick to my plan and stay focused? I actually didn't have much unintentional time this week. I put this question in for myself because it's a thing that I really struggled with. I struggled with procrastination so much 2 years ago, but I've really come a long way, I guess. And yeah, I can't think of a time where I didn't stick to my plan and stay focused. I guess now the improvements are on the level of focus that I have, and I think definitely, especially with my deep work and creativity, I do notice that after even 3 hours, I have a dip in focus. But I'm also kind of using that as an excuse as well. So I think one, obviously sleep can help a lot with that. But two, just, I guess, catching myself when I'm telling myself that I'm gonna be less focused and just being like, just doing the work, just doing the work. So I know there's a lot of things that I can do to increase my sense of focus. One thing I have over here is like this lemon oil that I sniff whenever I do my deep work, and just a cue like that would really wake me up. So I guess I'll say I did well in terms of sticking to my plan, but I know I can increase my level of focus. This is a really good question. I always love asking my friends, which is, what inspired you this week? And so I usually go to my notes, because whenever I listen to podcasts and stuff like that, uh, I save it as a note, just so I can reference it, because there's so many things we watch, especially in an age like this where we're always just consuming. It's very hard to remember the things that really compel you, because people are making amazing things, but they just rush past us so quick, and we don't have a way to catch it in the moment. Um, so yeah, whenever I have a podcast that really hits me, I'll just save it to my thing because it's so seamless. And so this is actually one that really hit me. It was Impact Theory, guy called Tom Bilyeu, who's the owner of Quest Nutrition, which I believe is a billion-dollar company, and Bedros Keuilian, who runs the FitBody Bootcamp franchise and is an entrepreneur who owns a whole lot of other businesses. They're really amazing guys in the men's self-improvement space. And yeah, Tom Bilyeu from Impact Theory himself was talking about the psychological theory of why shonen anime did so well compared to any other Western comic. So what he said, and I never knew this, is that Demon Slayer, the anime, and I guess he's referring to the manga specifically, has sold more, either has sold more copies or made more revenue than all of the Western comics combined. And I believe that's like ever made, and that was crazy. And he was just thinking about the theory of why that happened. I mean, it's Demon Slayer, it's fucking epic. Enough said. But yeah, I just love learning about that. It's pretty crazy when you think about it. And then Bedros Keuilian started talking about breaking the rules of life. Essentially, what I was talking about before, the kind of thing where like, yeah, if you sit in four white walls all day, you sit on the couch all day, you don't exercise, blah blah blah, you're effectively breaking the game engine of life. So when I talk about life game design, again, it's like the philosophy of treating life like a game, but also understanding that we are the designers of this game. We're not just the players. And so within every game, there's a game engine, basically the mechanics of how the game works. And again, if we don't understand the mechanics of the game, if we don't understand something as simple as how much literally just walking and getting sunlight benefits our mental health, if we don't do those things, we're essentially breaking the game engine for ourselves. And whenever you break the game engine, everything just goes to shit. So, yeah, understanding that concept is really important, and it's definitely a video series that I really want to go over. I guess like the different elements of what I call like the game engine of life. So yeah, that's pretty much what inspired me this week. Bedros Keuilian and Impact Theory. And so this is probably the most important part about the reflection is the realignment. So it's really nice to go through these memories and just appreciate what's happened during the week, but we also want to have a realignment. We also want to have a clear path for us to walk for next week. So this is the most important question, which is, what is the number one thing I need to accomplish next week? And this kind of relates to that book, The One Thing. Very simple concept. What's the one thing that you need to do, or the one thing that if you did it, you would be proud of that week? And it's the release of my template. I've got until Sunday to finish and release the base version of my template, and I have two of my friends that I'm going to be working with to see how they use it to help them design their own lives and all those kind of things. And I'm really excited, and I really want to live up to my promise to them. So yeah, it's the life game design template. And what specific learning do I need to do for next week's tasks? So usually, especially for my friends Joseph and Derek, they're both software engineers, and especially for Joseph, he's creating an app. And there's a lot of new stuff that he's running into. So he always finds this question really useful. For me though, for this week, what specific learning do I need to do? I don't think there's anything. I just need to do the work. I just need to do the work, so I'm just going to write that. Oh, but actually, I will be doing this live stream again next week, and I literally just fumbled my way through this one, to be honest. This is not what I wanted to end up as, but I knew I just had to do it. So I guess I could learn more about stream quality and streaming on YouTube. And this is always a really good one. What is a task that I can do that will make next week less stressful? And for our group, it's always literally just been time blocking the week to make sure that you know when, where, and how you're going to spend your time. It's kind of like designing a level for yourself in a game. When I think of like why games are so addicting to play, it's literally because they're so meticulously designed for us to feel like we're making progress, to feel like we're making an impact within the world that we play, and all those things. And so whenever I time block my time, I guess when I live up to that promise that I made for myself, it just gives me such a better sense of peace than to just randomly go about and do whatever I feel like doing in the moment. So yeah, I'll do my time blocking. What is on my not to do list? This question always hits all of us hard because it really makes you think, what's the thing that you know that you're doing that you shouldn't do? So for me, it's literally staying up late. It's like 10:30 now. Usually I sleep by 9:30, so I'm an hour late. So yes, sleeping late when I have no reason to, especially because if I'm sleeping late for a very good reason, then I can forgive that. But it's usually not. Not gonna lie. Just need to charge my laptop. And a really important question that I've tied in with that is, what will I replace this with? And so I figured that I didn't have a man. I'm gonna be real honest with you right now. What I figured from the whole attachment thing, the state of anxious attachment, is that the reason why I lost so much sleep in the past year is because whenever I would send messages to people I care about, um, I would like awkwardly wait for them to reply, even though I know that they don't need to. Like, it's kind of like when you open your phone on Messenger, but you're not actually like intending to text someone. Maybe that's just me. Um, but yeah, I found that I guess a symptom of my anxious attachment was doing those things, and that would happen before I went to bed, and so I'd be stuck in this loop of doing that, and to distract myself from that discomfort, I would start watching YouTube videos. Um, but I would convince myself that it was productive, and yeah, I guess I was just trying to soothe myself from that feeling of um, not being able to connect with someone. So what I understood is that journaling is the thing, because again, looking at it from the parent-child relationship, if my conscious mind is going to distract, this is literally like iPad kids. Whenever we feel uncomfortable and we use technology to distract us, it's literally the same thing as when a parent can't deal with their child and they just give them the iPad and they're just like, here, just melt your brain. We do the exact same thing. I do the exact same thing whenever I feel uncomfortable and I use my phone to soothe me. So, giving, literally just paying attention to that kid within me and understanding his thoughts is the thing that I need to do when I feel like that. That is the most important time when I need to do that. So that's exactly what I'll replace that with. And that's going to be fixed in my night routine, journaling. Um, but literally, this conversation that I'm having with you, with myself, is that for me right now. And yeah, what am I looking forward to for next week? Literally just getting my template out and yeah, I just want to see how my friends go through it. I want to see I really want them to nitpick the whole special system. I want them to see if there's flaws within it, um, and see if it's not too overwhelming for them, because I can understand that it does feel overwhelming, but when I think about how complicated life is, it's obviously not going to be a four-stage system. And when I think about the level of complexity that I can understand within a game, like literally like Fallout, the special system within Fallout, I memorize that shit so easily because I'm constantly using it. And so with my template, with using this as a project manager, as a database for your notes, as a task manager, as a base of research for all the areas within here, as you use it, you get to learn it basically. And you get to memorize it, just like you would memorize all the insanely complicated stuff that we learn in games. So yeah, I guess I'm just excited, because those guys are both gamers, and that's exactly the kind of people I want to work with, especially in terms of this. So, last question. What am I grateful for? I do this every morning. I think about things that I'm grateful for. And I feel like the simpler they are, the better they are every time. And so, probably for me today was literally just going to the gym and getting sunlight. On top of that, just before this call, just before this live stream, I was working uh, most of the day with Joseph, doing my deep work on this template, and then he helped me do the setup for this live stream too. So I'm grateful for Joseph helping me. And we also made a workout program together. And a lot of stuff. So yeah, that is basically it for the weekly reflection. I usually take just half an hour to 15 minutes to do it by myself. But I guess the reason why it's gone on for so long in this live stream is because I've just been ranting about my week and about the special system and life game design like that. But yeah, I usually just take around 15 minutes, or if I have something really deep to